Hi everyone, and welcome to Cooped Up at the Carter. I'm Bridget Thomas and I'm one of the gallery teachers. You can tell that I have on a raincoat, I have my umbrella with me, and you might hear some thunder in the background. I thought this was a great place for us to talk about one of my favorite paintings at the Carter Museum. It's called Thunder Shower by an artist named Arthur Dove. When you see it, you can tell it is an abstract painting. There are beautiful dark colors and shapes. You might think it is an explosion. You might think it's leaves. But then you might think it was a strike of lightning. The story that goes with this painting is that one evening, Mr. and Mrs. Dove had gone somewhere and they started driving home. And as they drove, it started raining. And it started raining harder and harder. And pretty soon they could barely see the road in front of them. They could hear their windshield wipers were going crazy. The wind was blowing, the trees were swaying over. And all of a sudden, right straight in front of them, this giant strike of lightning comes down. Can you imagine only how scared they were? But luckily, it did not touch their car. And they were able to safely get home. And then, once they recovered, in the next couple of days, when he went into his studio, he painted this event. He painted what happened to them. But if you look at it, there are some things that he left out. And as you look, he didn't put himself in, he didn't put his wife in, or the windshield wipers, or the rain, or the road. He only gave you the strike of lightning and those beautiful colors in the dark night sky and that flash. And he also painted it a different way. Instead of just using oil on canvas, he mixed wax in with the oil paint in an emulsion, and it changed the texture that you see on that painting. We hope that when you come into the Carter, you will look for that painting and see that thunder shower that he painted for you. I know that each one of you have had some event happen in your life. You might want to write a short paragraph about it and then illustrate it. How will you paint that event? Will it be those flashes of color, or will it be realistic?
Hi there, I'm Jennifer Stone, one of the community teachers at the Carter Museum. Today on Cooped Up with the Carter, we'll be making some mixed media art with some things I bet you have around the house as we look at Thunder Shower by Arthur Dove. Here are the materials you'll need: markers or watercolors, crayons or oil pastels, definitely plastic wrap, definitely salt, and of course, watercolor paper. But if you don't have any, you're welcome to use a coffee filter. I won't be using that today because I don't like coffee. Tea's the best. I know it looks like a lot of materials, but it really depends on what you have around the house. So here's the artwork that I did earlier. And so one side's marker and the other side's watercolor. And so you can sort of see the difference between using crayon on both sides. I really do recommend oil pastel over crayon just because the colors tend to be a lot brighter and they show up better whether it's marker or watercolor. Anyway, let's get started. Just so you know what the finished artwork will look like, whether you use watercolor or marker, I'm going to do both. First, we're going to start with our design in crayon. Okay, so now that we've drawn our thunderstorm inspired design, this is where the process gets different depending on whether you use watercolor or marker. First, we're going to do marker. Without covering the entire area, we're going to pick some places that we want to color in with marker. These are the colors that I'm using, but you don't have to use these colors. You can use whatever color you want. Here we go. Okay, now that I'm done with my design, here's where we get to add the water. If it happens to be raining outside, you can set it outside and add your salt and then put the saran wrap on it, or you can use a spray bottle. Don't have a spray bottle? Just stick your hand in water and just sprinkle away. Okay, here we go. Ooh, look at those colors spread. Well, looks like I added way too many designs with my crayons. That's okay. Let's add some salt and see what happens. And so when you add the salt, you can see that the color is just automatically concentrating towards it. Now for the saran wrap, or plastic wrap. Okay, we're just going to set it on our picture, and then you will remove the wrap when it's dry. So, there you go. Okay, now it's time to do our watercolor. This one's different because you're going to add the water first, and then you're going to add watercolor. Okay, here we go. Just a note of caution, when you're wetting it like this, you want it to where it's like glistening. You don't want it to where it's like bending and warping up, because otherwise that means that you probably added too much water. So while you're doing this, pan watercolor and liquid watercolor will work. Okay, you want to get your watercolors nice and wet. So I'm just gonna add. Okay, once I've added my watercolor, now I'm gonna add some salt. You don't have to add salt over the whole thing, just in some places. And then lastly, we're gonna add our saran wrap. Check it out, it's my finished artwork. Definitely looks like a thunderstorm for sure. I hope yours turned out as awesome as mine did. Don't forget to share your awesome creations on social media using the hashtag CarterArt. Bye for now.